Winter driving. The Midwest is getting hit with a dump of snow, as well as parts of Eastern Canada and the United States. And we're going to give you tips, strategies, and techniques to keep yourself safe on ice and in the snow. That's what we're talking about tonight. A couple of people here already. And Ventura's here from Brazil. Hello, my friend. Thank you for recommending the videos. That's awesome. My friend Eric is here. Yes, English. And Eric is tuning in from Minnesota, and they're not getting much snow there in Minnesota either, which is unusual for the United States. It's usually the Twin Cities there that gets all the snow. And I'm wearing my hoodie here because it's cold, because where we live, we don't have any snow. We just have just overcast and gray and no snow. And I would rather it's sunny and minus 20 degrees Celsius, which is, minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit, and sunny than what we have now. It is just really tough to deal with that just day in and day out. It just feels like it's been like this for a long time. We had a green Christmas. We didn't have any snow for Christmas either. So Marion is here. Hello, my friend. Dark, foggy, dreary. Yeah, dreary Vancouver. That's the word we're looking for, is dreary. Tristan, got your license today. Congratulations, my friend. That is awesome news. Thank you so much for stopping back and letting us know that you were able to get your license. And excellent. Thank you for your kind words about driving. And as I said, driving in the wintertime, driving on slippery conditions, and a lot of shorts, dash cam footage from the Midwest in the United States, Louisville, Kentucky, Wichita, Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri, those places. These people are at the southern line of where they get snow in the United States. Usually it's north of that they get snow. So if it gets cold there and they get a bit of snow or they get ice, they all panic. It's like when they get the one annual dump of snow in Vancouver. They panic because they don't get snow and they are not familiar with driving in slippery conditions. They simply have zero abilities and skills because most of them have never driven on ice or in snow. So that's what's going on there in the southern US, where they are getting snow and ice. And there are many, many crashes because people simply don't slow down. They don't have their vehicles fitted with winter tires, nor do they possess the skills to be able to keep themselves safe or know what they need to do to drive safely on slippery conditions. And the first thing I'm going to tell you, as many of you have probably heard me say again and again, when you're on slippery conditions and you start to feel the vehicle start to lose control, and you'll feel that because it's called yaw. It's when the vehicle goes out of line from going straight. The back end comes around or the front end starts to go sideways. Get your foot off the brake. Get your foot off the accelerator and steer in the direction that you want the vehicle to go. The brake is not your friend when you begin to lose control of your vehicle. So you have to get your foot off the brake and steer in the direction that you want to go. I know that it's freaky because you're like, oh my God, oh my God, the vehicle is going out of line and it's not going where I want it to go. And you feel like you don't have any control. So you get your foot on the brake because you think, oh my God, I got to get it stopped as soon as possible. That makes the situation worse. And Corey will put up the video for you I put up today on winter driving mistakes, and this is what a couple of drivers did, especially pulling trailers. If you're pulling trailers in the wintertime, you need to be pulling that trailer on slippery conditions, because as soon as that trailer starts to push you, starts to push the towing unit on slippery conditions, you're done. You're absolutely done. My friend Big Mac Sam, how are you? Awesome. I did see your video. I was going to get back to you on it. I loved it. I thought it was a really great idea, really awesome. So feel free to share a link here and other people can have a look at it as well. Yeah, pulse brake and not too much gas. Corey, Bricks for Wheels, he is the moderator, does an excellent job of getting up the videos I suggest you have a look at for more information on the questions you ask. We're here to answer all your questions, give you information about driving in the wintertime. The other piece of those places that have got snow and ice in the last few days, Kansas City, Missouri, Louisville, Kentucky, those types of places, ice. The proverbial black ice, right? We've never seen black ice come out of a Coke machine, but it's black ice in the arena of driving. So ice that you cannot see on the roadways but is there, where is it going to form? Bridges and overpasses first. And I talk about that in the video I put up today. So have a look at that, because that's the mistake that they made. Okay, curves, corners, and turns. Going around a curve. Okay, the video, have a look at it. It's on a curve. The overpass is on a curve. And so you'll hear me talk about this a lot in the next hour about the vehicle out of line. And what I mean by the vehicle goes down the road, okay? And you're driving and it's straight, right? Most of the time the road is straight. But if you're going around a corner, the vehicle is now out of line. It's out of straight. It's not going straight anymore. When you go around curves, corners, and turns, and you're on slippery conditions, that's when you have the potential to lose control, because you have the force of the vehicle, the force of inertia. Is it inertia? That's the word I'm looking for. Centrifugal force. The vehicle is pushing this way because the vehicle wants to go this way, but there's forces pushing on it this way. And if you have compromised traction, less traction, which you normally do, the vehicle is going to go that way, right? And there's a video here. I don't know where it is. It's in another live stream. I talked about this where I lost control a couple of years ago on the highway, and that's exactly what happened to me. I was going too fast. The vehicle went out of line, and as soon as I started going around the corner, I could feel the back end kind of lift up, and I simply lost control of the vehicle because I was going too fast, and there was no chance of recovering. And if you are going too fast and you lose control of your vehicle, it's unlikely that you're going to regain control of your vehicle, because it's the forces of gravity, centrifugal force, and inertia and whatnot are just too great to recover from that. All right. Aventura, he's been driving a truck, has been involved in 4 consecutive crashes. He showed me everything. Congratulations on the work once again. Okay, excellent. I think I missed something up above. Balua, your videos have always helped me learning about driving in Canada. I really appreciate it. I have my road test tomorrow. Wish me luck. Good luck on your driver's test there tomorrow. You're going to do awesome. Remember to breathe. Okay, in through the nose. That'll cause your body to relax, okay? And remind yourself, I can do this. I've got the skills. I'm going to pass, okay? You're going to do awesome. All right. From the beginning of the rain to the formation of ice, please react to videos as they are clearly show the risk. Yes, excellent. And that's the other thing what Aventura was talking about today. Here in the mountains where we live, where Marion and I live in the mountains, and a couple of weeks here we're going to Mount Baker going skiing. You can come out of the coast, drive into the mountains, and within an hour and a half, 90 minutes, you can go from rain, clear roads, into deep snow in the mountains. And, with driving through the mountains, you have all the conditions for ice to form on the roadways, bridges and overpasses. Low-lying areas, high elevations, you're going to get ice and snow there. Places where the roadway runs past a body of water, you could potentially get ice on the roadways. Anywhere that the roadway lies in shadow, a mountain cliff, a building, a bridge, overpass, those types of things. These are the places that you could potentially get ice on the roadway. So pay attention to the changing road infrastructure, and this will alert you to where there is potentially ice on the roadways. And, some of the people that were driving in the video that I put up there in Wichita, Kansas, some of them were paying attention and they knew there was an overpass, right? And they knew that there was ice potentially on the bridge, because you could tell from the video, once you studied it, that there was moisture in the air. And if you have a lot of moisture during the daytime where it rains or it's foggy or whatnot, and then it freezes overnight, the temperature drops to 32 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Fahrenheit, you're going to get ice in the morning. And bridges and overpasses freeze first because they're exposed to air on both sides, so underneath and on the top. That's why they freeze first, and that's where you're most likely to find ice in the wintertime. So know that if you're on the West Coast, you're in a mountainous area, you can encounter very different types of weather in a very short period of time. Marion, what I was meaning the other day in the post, I'm having trouble changing lanes as I'm from right lane to left lane. I can't seem to figure out the speed of other cars. Okay, let me think about that. Corey will put up the video for you on judging gap right now. We can have a look at that. But also, I don't know, Marion, if you've seen the changing lanes video, that might help you out as well. Generally, for those of you wanting to change lanes, if you're moving from the right lane to the left lane, cars behind you have to be in the top third of the mirror. If they're bigger than the top third of the mirror, then they're too close for you to move over into that other lane. But as Marion said, she's not having trouble with judging where the vehicle is. She's having difficulty judging speed of other vehicles. And again, I remind you, when you're changing, Marion, when you're changing from one lane to the other lane, you have to speed up as well. You need acceleration because you're going on an angle. And because you're going on an angle, you're covering greater distance, so therefore you need to speed up a bit to get into that other lane. The other technique about that, the defensive driving maneuver, and I was watching a video on shoulder checking the other day and changing lanes. One shoulder check is okay, but two is much better, because what I teach people in terms of defensive posturing, mirror signal shoulder check, you look, it's clear, you're good to go. Move the vehicle to left of center, so you're not out of your lane yet, but you're hugging the left side of your lane. So you move the vehicle over, you physically move the vehicle, and then you look ahead again, check traffic in the front, make sure you're okay. But because you have your signal on and because you've moved your vehicle, it now gets the attention of the vehicles behind you, the drivers behind you, and they're like, oh, wait a minute, that person's going over into the other lane. But you paused just before you got into the other lane, looked forward, and then look again. I mean, all this happens in like a split second, right? It's like half a second, because mirror signal, shoulder check, boom, looking forward, boom, and you've moved your vehicle over, and then you move into the other lane, and that is much better defensive posturing for changing lanes. And I was thinking about this today when I was walking. What is the danger of lane changes? The danger is sideswipe crashes, okay? Sideswipe crashes in amongst themselves are relatively innocuous. They're basically, that just means that nothing really happens, right? It's just property damage. It's just damage to the vehicles. But what comes out of that is that drivers panic when they smack into another car on the side, because the collision is happening right where they're sitting in the cabin behind the steering wheel. They panic, and then they reef the steering wheel and they oversteer, and that's when they lose control of the vehicle. And there is a video on here, and Corey will put that up for you, on oversteering, especially if you're merging out onto a freeway. They oversteer, the vehicle goes out of control, and then they careen into a concrete median or barrier or something, right? So if you move over and you're changing lanes, or you're merging and you do that last shoulder check and you see somebody there, don't take the steering wheel and go, oh my God, because that's when you're going to lose control of the vehicle. Very nice back to, a little bit, like this much on the steering wheel will move the car in this day and age with all modern vehicles. So know that it's not the sideswipe crash that's going to get you into trouble. It's oversteering when you react badly after you run into whatever you've run into over there, whether it's another car or whatnot. So know that, okay? Oh no, I take my test tomorrow in this winter horror. You've taught me so much. Thank you. Winter horror, where are you located, my friend, that you are getting winter? Because we are not getting winter where I live. My mom, on the other hand, lives in southwestern Ontario. She lives 90 minutes north of London, Ontario, which some of you may or may not know is halfway between Detroit and London. So Detroit's here, London is halfway between Detroit, Michigan, and Toronto, Ontario. So Detroit is here, Toronto's here, London's here, my mom's here in a little rural town called Wingham. And every time I look at the weather, it's snowing there. Like she said, they have snow up to their eyeballs. They just have a mountain of snow. Indianapolis in the United States. Yes, Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, my friend. Yes, you are getting snow there, which is interesting because they're not getting snow in Minneapolis, but they're getting snow in Indiana, and they're getting places in Kentucky and Kansas and Oklahoma and whatnot. So, and Corey says they're very much having winter in Winterpeg. Winnipeg, Manitoba here in Canada, which we like to tease Corey about the fact that it's called Winterpeg. So they are getting winter. Everybody else is getting winter, but not us here in the mountains. And same thing, Mount Baker in Washington State is not getting winter either. Every time I look at the weather report, it's, above freezing. So, interesting that parts of North America are getting winter and other parts are definitely not getting any winter at all. So we talked about ice, where ice will form. If you get into trouble, your vehicle gets out of line. And when I say out of line, it's not going straight anymore. Either the back end's coming around or the front end's going around. And when that happens, you get your foot off the throttle, get your foot off the brake, steer the vehicle in the direction that you want to go. Now, if it's just a little wiggle, right? If it's minor, most of the time you're going to be able to recover from that. But if you're going too fast and it starts to come around, you may not be able to recover from that. But you want to try and get your foot off the throttle as quickly as possible so the vehicle will slow down as much as possible. And as well, there's a misconception about ABS brakes. I've had many drivers say on the how to slow down on ice and snow that you rely on your ABS brakes. People think that ABS brakes work all the time when you're braking. That is incorrect. That is false information. ABS brakes, anti-lock braking systems, which are on all vehicles, even trucks and trailers, semi-trucks and trailers, ABS brakes only work in emergency braking situations. They only work when you push the brake pedal right to the floor and hold it as hard as you can. That's the only time that the anti-lock braking system works. It does not work on ice and snow, and it will not save you on ice and snow. In fact, anti-lock braking systems will actually increase the stopping distance on ice and snow because they will not lock up the wheels and they will keep releasing the brakes so that to prevent them from locking up. I've had numerous times in the winter time with ABS brakes where I've come up to the intersection, hit a patch of ice, and before I can get the vehicle stopped with the brake pedal on, and as Sam says, I hate the feeling of ABS brakes because it's the brake pedal is pulsing, the vehicle is vibrating as if it's coming apart. That is all normal response of ABS brakes, and I've ended up in the middle of an intersection in the wintertime. I can think of a specific circumstance right now when I was living in Ottawa, and I was in the middle, right through the intersection, right through the stop sign, right into the middle of the intersection before I could get the vehicle stopped, and I've had that happen a few times. So the other key piece of winter driving information is to slow down back from where you actually need to get stopped. And I now, it's just part of my driving skill set when I drive in the wintertime or on slippery conditions that I start braking back from where I actually want to get stopped, and then I creep up to where I can get stopped. And I was actually driving around Calgary a couple of years ago in the wintertime, and we come up into the left turning lane, and I started slowing down back where I got, and I hit sheer ice, and the ABS brakes kicked in again, because as soon as it gets slippery, and the vehicle will not stop when you're pushing a little bit on the brake pedal, you're instinctively going to push harder and harder on the brake pedal to try and get the car stopped because you don't want to rear end the parked vehicle or the stopped vehicle in front of you. So as you push harder and harder, eventually you're going to get to the bottom of the brake pedal, and that's when the ABS brakes are going to engage. Now, fortunately, when that happened, I hit that patch of ice in Calgary. I had started slowing down soon enough that I actually did, in fact, get the vehicle stopped, right? Okay, so Eddie, how are you, my friend? Welcome to Smart Drive Test. Ryan, I managed to pass my road test for Class 7 on New Year's Eve. Thank you so much. You are most welcome, my friend. Natural ice, driving in a cluster of vehicles in South Carolina is equal to playing bumper cars. Yes, and keep your distance, keep your space, and you definitely want to increase your following distance, your minimum safe distance in the winter time. far back, okay? And again, if the weather is bad, if it's snowing or it's foggy or those types of things, please do not put on your four-way flashers, okay? It is distracting to other drivers around you. Everyone on the roadway knows that it's bad, okay? If it's overcast or foggy or those types of things, headlights, move them from the auto position to the on position, because that way your taillights will be activated. Otherwise, if you just have your headlights on automatic, your taillights are not on, okay? And you want to increase visibility, especially for those of us living in this bleh, bleh, this yucky gray overcast, just not doing anything. No snow, no rain, those types of things. Activate your headlights to the automatic position, and that way your taillights will be on. Eddie, my second driving lesson had a snow, ice, and sleet with a mixture of snow. That was interesting. Thankfully, I was driving a manual. Yes, and I agree with Eddie about driving a manual in the winter on snow and ice. I much, much prefer a manual transmission. Now, I get a number of people who disagree with me in terms of an automatic transmission when you're coming up to stop to push the transmission into neutral to cut all of that residual power to the drivetrain, and then just gently using your brake pedal to bring the vehicle to a stop. There are many people, there's a number of people, not a lot of people, but there's a number of people who, you got to gear down, you got to put into a lower gear and those types of things. There's a potential for you to lock up the wheels. This is why they discourage you using cruise control, because you could potentially lock up the vehicle and lose control, and you can't regain control in time. Whereas if you're just using the brakes, you can release the brakes, allow the wheels to turn, get traction, and then go again, right? So, Eddie, I prefer manual over automatic, as do I. Gold, ABS brakes are terrifying in winter, so do you recommend getting rid of that or just having regular brakes? How do you do it? Gold, nope, you can't do anything about it. You can, but don't disengage your safety features on your vehicle. Just slow down earlier and then creep up to where you actually want to stop, okay? All vehicles built in the last 30 years all have ABS brakes on them, okay? They started coming out in the late 1980s, 1990s. Every vehicle has ABS brakes on them. My old 1998 Honda CR-V, my buggy, has ABS brakes on it. It's just something you're going to have to learn how to deal with, right? And Corey, I saw, put up the video there on ABS brakes, so definitely have a look at that as well. Excuse me. Carrie, we had freezing fog here in Minnesota. What is the best way to drive in freezing fog? Same thing, Carrie. Look out for those places where ice is going to form, okay? Bridges and overpasses are going to freeze first when there's ice, because you've got fog and the temperature drops to 0 or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. It drops to freezing, so you've got fog, you've got moisture, you're going to get ice, right? Bridges and overpasses. Slow down before curves, corners, and turns. Any place where the roadway lies in shadow, buildings, bridges, overpasses, that's where you're going to get ice on the roadways. Anywhere the road dips, high elevations, not so much of a problem there in Minnesota, but here in the mountains we get high elevations. Anywhere where the road dips, anywhere where the roadway goes past a body of water, these are the places where you're going to find ice potentially on the roadways. And you're more likely going to have ice on places where there's less traffic. Think of traffic like a river. Rivers only freeze where the water is calm and still. It doesn't freeze in a rapid. So if you've got a lot of traffic on a busy road, it's less likely that you're going to get ice forming. If you get onto the residential roads or you get out onto a highway early in the morning and there hasn't been any traffic overnight, that's where you're going to find ice on the highways. And so make sure that you slow down early before curves, corners, and turns. Because as I said, when the vehicle gets out of line, when you're going around a corner, that's when you're going to start to lose control. And that's what happened to me in that video where I spun out a few years ago there on the highway. It was night, ice on the roadways, went around the corner, and the back end just went out of line, and I was going too fast and lost control of the vehicle. Excellent. Freezing fog, I haven't heard of that before. Marion, that's where you get fog overnight and then it freezes. So the temperature drops to 0. So the other piece to keep in mind is temperature is not homogeneous. And what I mean by that is if it's 0 degrees, like say it's 3 degrees at your house, and then where you go to work, there's a slight drop in elevation, but the temperature drops. When the temperature drops, you're also going to get ice in a different place somewhere else. And so you can have ice on the roadways when the temperature is anywhere from, say, 35 degrees Fahrenheit down below freezing. So it might be 35 degrees, which is 3 or 4 degrees above freezing, but you'll still have ice on the roadways early in the morning because you're in a different place and the elevation has dropped or the temperature has changed in that particular area. So know that as well about ice, that just because you get in your car and your car says that it's 35 degrees Fahrenheit, there's still a potential that there could be ice on the roadways. Okay, same for us here in Canada. If it says 3 degrees Celsius on your temperature in your car, doesn't necessarily mean there isn't going to be ice on the roadways. Eddie, I've already freezing fog for most of the past 2 weeks where I live. Salt spreaders are still out in force. Yes. Adventura, this point about temperature and time of day is very important. I learned here in other videos. Yes, it is. So you got to take note of what's going on with the weather. Is there a lot of moisture on the roadways? Is there a lot? Has it been freezing? Is it early in the morning? How much traffic was on the roadways? If you're on busy roadways and well-traveled roadways, it's less likely there's going to be ice. But let's go back to the video I posted today about the ice on the overpass and the bridge. It was the interstate. It was probably early in the morning because what had happened was there was very little traffic overnight. It froze, and then in the morning when people started commuting and going to work, that's when they stuck the camera up and they're like, oh yeah, watch this. This is where people are going to spin out on the highway because the bridge, the overpass on the interstate had ice on it. All right. Anyway, and I'm heading off to bed. I'm up in a couple hours. Eddie, all the best. Thank you so much for dropping in, and we will see you next time, my friend. All the best. Carrie, okay, excellent. You're explaining that. Corey, I would recommend stress testing the ABS in a snow, icy, empty parking lot. Just get used to how it feels. Brake hard in the winter. Yes, exactly what Corey just said about going to a parking lot, get the vehicle up to 30 or 40 kilometers an hour, 15 or 20 miles an hour, and then you got to really hammer on that brake pedal to activate the ABS brakes. All right, excellent. Thank you for that, Corey. Yes, because you don't want to get out on the roadway, and I've had smart drivers come back over the years and say, oh, I needed to watch this video because I wanted to figure out what was going on with my ABS brakes on snow and ice. And actually, I want to do a video here. If we ever get some snow, I'll go out and do some ABS. I'll show you how ABS works on snow and ice and give you some information about that and help you out with driving on snow and ice and slippery conditions, what happens and how the vehicle reacts with ice and snow. All right. Excellent. All right, so we'll get over to the presentation here. We'll get through that 10 or 12 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll spend the remainder of the hour answering all your questions about becoming a safer, smarter driver, passing a driver's test, and staying safe in the winter time. So tonight we're talking about bad weather. We're talking about keeping yourself safe on ice, in snow, slippery conditions, and staying away from other traffic and not getting stuck or ending up in the ditch. Dadgummit, got stuck in the ditch again. For those of you new to Smart Drive Test, my name is Rick August. I was a truck driver in the 1990s, hauled freight between Ontario, Canada, and the United States until 1997 when I became a licensed commercial driving instructor. Created the smarter defensive driving model, which moves drivers from being retaliatory and reactionary to being predictable and proactive on the roadways. And most of that is about space in front, stopping in traffic 1 vehicle length back, and maintaining minimum 3 to 4 second following distance between your vehicle and other vehicles on the roadway. Because if you're not near anything, it's less likely you're going to hit something. 2006, I graduated from the University of Melbourne in Australia with my doctorate in legal history. Legal history, as many of you may or may not know, is the study of policing, courts, and prisons. My expertise is in policing as it relates to traffic. While I was going to university, I drove buses for Greyhound and one of the regional bus lines in Australia. I also took the course to become a driving instructor in Australia, but I never pursued that. because I was busy at university. And if you want to know more about me, I started the online YouTube channel in 2015. It's been wildly more successful than I could have imagined. We're way beyond 325,000 subscribers, 1,500 minutes of watch time every hour. So the channel is doing incredibly well. And if you want to know more about Smart Drive Test, want to know more about me, you can check out the autobiography over at the Smart Drive Test website. That link is down in the description, as well as the video that I put up today. So have a look at that. There's the video for today. Winter driving mistakes. Corey will have a look at that. Lots of good spin outs and wipeouts, jackknifing tractor trailers, careening down the interstate, and people rolled over in the ditch there in Louisville, Kentucky. Hopefully they're all right. Nobody was injured and whatnot. Now, the other piece on that, well, I'm just thinking about that, talking about driving to the conditions of the roadway, because, that's kind of like saying, how long is a piece of string, right? Driving to the conditions of the roadway. If you are going faster than the traffic flow on the roadways when it is slippery, when it is snowing out, you are driving too fast. I will tell you that right now. That's the first piece of advice that I will give you, other than staying off your brakes once you get into trouble. But don't drive faster than the traffic flow, okay? Unless you are really confident in your ability and your winter driving skills, stay with the traffic flow, okay? Because the traffic flow will be slowing down, and they will be able to help you out in terms of your driving and keeping you safe, okay? First thing for winter time, okay, especially for those of us who live in the mountains here, put winter washer fluid in the reservoir in your vehicle, okay? If you have summer winter washer fluid, or you put water in there, you're going to have to get rid of it, get it out somehow, and put in winter washer fluid. I just put winter washer fluid in my windshield washer reservoir all year round. And then that way I don't have to worry about it, and it keeps the windshield clean. You can invest in some Rain-X and those types of things, but winter washer fluid, minus 40 degrees Celsius, minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit, because here in the mountains where we live, salt only works down to about minus 8 degrees Celsius, which is about 15 degrees Fahrenheit. After that, salt doesn't work anymore. It doesn't melt the ice on the roadways. So here in the mountains, they dump enormous amounts of sand on the roadways, and I think some of the rocks are the size of baseballs that come out of the back of these sand trucks, because I've passed a few, and they, these rocks have whacked the windshield on my car and just scare the living daylights out of you when you're trying to pass the sand truck. And as well, because there's so much sand and gunk on the roadway, it just covers your car in dirt and yuck, and you have to be able to clean the windshield off. So make sure you have good winter washer fluid filled up in your vehicle. And the other piece is, you probably might want to have a jug in your car, so you can just stop if you get to work or you get to shopping or wherever and you run out, you want to be able to fill that up again. Now, most of the high-end cars, Tracy's Audi, will tell you when the winter washer fluid is low. My buggy, I have a dipstick in my reservoir. So winter washer fluid, okay? And if it gets really crazy, make sure that you go into a fuel station and you clean your glass and your windshields, because you want to have good visibility while you're driving in the wintertime, as well. Know how to work the defrost on your car and whatnot. And the other point that I was going to make about that, the story, a few years ago, I was driving down to the rental property on the island. I was going through Kamloops. I was going into Kamloops, driving west on the Trans-Canada Highway. 2 stone chips on the windshield by sand trucks as I was going in. And then I come out the other side, and the trucks, there's a big scale on the west side of Kamloops as you go through on the Trans-Canada Highway. Come out the other side, 2 more stone chips on the windshield. So if you get stone chips on your windshield in the wintertime from the sand trucks, go in and get them fixed, because they're only going to cost you $60, $100 to get the chips fixed on your windshield. But if you wait until the windshield cracks, then you're going to have to replace the windshield. So $60 to $100 to fix the chips, as opposed to replacing the entire windshield on your vehicle. All right, tires. Yes, winter tires. Everybody is saying this, but if you're driving in and around cities, I'm not going to advocate that you put winter tires on your vehicle. And I did actually read something today. I don't know why. I was looking up black ice. It claimed that winter tires will stop you 35% more efficiently on slippery conditions than all-season tires. And I don't buy that for a second. Tires are so much better now in this day and age than they were even 10 years ago. And not to mention that all weather, all season tires all have M&S on them, or they have the mountain snowflake symbol on them, as you can see here in the image. And they are winter rated. They will do all right for you. Now, if you're driving up to the ski hill 3 or 4 times a week, if you're driving through the mountains, then yes, I would advocate that you put winter tires on your vehicle. Now, going back to that, I have done polls here on the channel, and I know I'm pretty confident in my professional opinion. Most people, 75%, 3/4 of the vehicles on the road are not fitted with winter tires. Only about 20-25% of people actually mount winter tires on their vehicle. So this is the reason why in the wintertime that you need to increase your following distance, because you may have winter tires on your vehicle and your vehicle is winter ready, but the vehicle that you're following may not be winter ready and may not have winter tires on their vehicle. So increase your following distance to keep yourself safe. This is the same argument where people say, oh, you got to clean your car off completely. There's a law. I will come down there and I will beat you to within an inch of your life with my ice scraper if you don't clean your car off. Blah, 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 blah. Okay? The reality is people do not clean all the snow off their vehicle. I don't clean all the snow off my vehicle. I reach what I can on the top, but I don't get it all off. Increase your following distance for the snow and ice that potentially could come off the other vehicles in front of you. If you increase your following distance, it's not an issue anymore. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about, because it's not just the snow that people fail to clean off their vehicles. It's also the fact that they probably don't have good tires on their vehicle in the wintertime. Steel studded tires, as I said, if you're running on ice pack, if you're running up and down to the snow hill, then by all means, yes, put studded tires on your vehicle. Okay, stopping on ice, as I talked about in the introduction, right off the bat, get your foot off the throttle, get your foot off the brake, look in the direction you want to steer the vehicle, and steer like a crazy person, okay? And if you lose traction and you're trying to get the vehicle stopped, get out of the tracks, get onto the shoulder of the road, and try and figure out where you can find traction to get your vehicle stopped. Okay, loss of control, oversteering. As I talked about, curves, corners, and turns. The vehicle is going out of line. You want it to do something other than go in a straight line. Now there are other forces working on the vehicle because the vehicle wants to go straight. Which means that when you want to turn, say, to the left, the vehicle still wants to go straight. So there are forces pushing it to the right. Because of those forces, if you lose traction on ice and snow, it's going to go that way if you're going too fast, or the tires aren't turning anymore. They lock up because you've oversteered and now it's pushing the tires sideways. You have to release the brake to allow the tires to turn to get traction and to be able to steer and brake and do what you need to do. So over braking, oversteering, over accelerating, any one of these, too much of any one of these primary controls could potentially cause you to lose control of your vehicle on snow and ice. And then, as I talk about in the video, just touch on a little bit, pulling a trailer, semi-truck drivers, people pulling snow sleds, snowmobile trailers in the wintertime. Okay, that's a whole different exercise in terms of driving on snow and ice. You have to keep the towing unit, the truck, in front of the trailer, because as soon as the truck starts to slow down and the trailer starts pushing, the trailer's going to win and you're going to lose control of your vehicle. And watch the tractor trailer in the video I put up today, because wow, I'll tell you, he needed to go and change his shorts after that. He was lucky that he didn't dump it over. So, okay. Focus on where you want to go. Do not pass on curves, corners, and turns. The last thing you want to do is be on a multi-lane road going around a curve beside somebody else, and one of you loses control, bangs into the other person. Now you have no traction, and it's just a big mess of crumpled metal. Passing large vehicles. Big vehicles are going to kick up a lot of snow. They're going to kick up a lot of slush, a lot of mud, all that junk. So make sure that you put your windshield wipers on. Make sure you have your windshield washer fluid topped up and pass as quickly as you can, so you're not sitting there getting all sprayed with all that gunk as you're going down the roadway, because there's going to be that salt mix and those types of things. Okay, stay back so you can see landmarks on the roadway, and be aware of changing light conditions, going on under overpasses and those types of things, going through shaded areas and whatnot. This is where it's going to be more slippery than in other parts and areas of the roadway. Chop steering. This is a technique that I talk about, and it's adopted from racing and going around corners. And this is something I do when I'm on highways on slippery conditions and I'm going around curves, is I will just bring the steering wheel down, I will bring it back to straight, which allows the tires to continue to turn and gives you traction as you're going around the corner, and that will help you out when you're driving on highways and driving at higher speeds. Now, if it's super slippery in the city and those types of things, this will help you out too, where you can pull it down and bring it back, pull it down and bring it back, which will allow the tires to turn and maintain traction. It's when the tires stop turning, and this will happen, it's called oversteering, where you turn the steering wheel and the vehicle continues to go straight. The tires are turned this way, but the car's still going straight. That's called oversteering. The tires have stopped turning, so you need to get them back to straight, allow them to turn, and then turn again. Adopted from racing. You can watch some of the race car drivers, particularly rally car racing, where they're on gravel. You'll watch them around a corner and they'll be going like this. And that's what they're doing. It's called chop steering. And also they have a piece of tape on the top of the steering wheel, so they know when the steering wheel is straight at a glance, and they're going down the roadways. Now, most of that's by feel and those types of things, but it does help with them to keep the vehicle in a straight line and maintaining traction. Okay, look in the direction where you want the vehicle to go. That is most important. Get your foot off the throttle, get your foot off the accelerator. Throttle and accelerator are the same thing. Get your foot off the brake. Skid control, okay? Drive for the conditions of the roadway. As I said earlier, if you're driving faster than traffic flow, you're probably going too fast. Steer in the direction you want to go. Get your foot off the brake, get your foot off the throttle. Chop steering. If you can do that, if it's not one of those things where it's completely wild and gone completely out of control, and you're hanging on with a wing and a prayer trying to get the steering wheel and get it back to where you want to go, then you can do chop steering. But sometimes you have to steer like a crazy person. If you've lost control, you got to steer like a crazy person. Make sure you wear your seatbelt as well, so you stay in the driver's seat, all right? Because if you're not in the driver's seat, it's pretty tough to control the vehicle. If you're down throwing into the footwell on the passenger side, you can't really drive the vehicle in that sense. So you want to keep your seatbelt on so you can keep yourself in the driver's seat. As well, the dead pedal, the place on the left of the footwell on the driver's side of the vehicle, put your foot on there and brace back into the seat. Okay, that'll help you as well. And again, the dead pedal is something that's adopted from racing to help you to maintain control of the vehicle. Again, if you're on slippery conditions and you're in the ruts that every other vehicle is driving in, get off to the shoulder of the road and try and find traction there, and that too will help you to recover in the event of a skid. Okay, steer in the direction you want to go. Try and slow the vehicle as much as possible. Don't give up, okay? Don't just throw your hands up in the air, go, oh my God, I'm going to crash, I'm going to die, it's all over, the world is a terrible place kind of thing, right? Don't do that. Keep working at it. Keep trying to get the vehicle under control, get it slowed down, get it stopped, because the slower you can get it going, if something is imminent that you're going to crash, the less damage is going to be, and the less likely that you're going to be injured or killed in the event of a car crash. Okay, if crashing is something that's just going to happen, try and get the vehicle slowed as much as possible. Look in the direction you want to go. Steer like a crazy person. Don't give up. Aim for something that's going to give. Okay, trees, rocks, bridges, overpasses, they're not going to give. Okay, another vehicle, it's not going to give. A fence, a bush, shrubbery, a snowbank, those types of things. Okay, because that way you're most likely you're going to survive the car crash. Otherwise, if you run into another vehicle, run into a bridge abutment, you're not going to survive that. Okay. Points to remember, okay? Drive to the conditions of the roadway, okay? If you are going faster than other traffic on the roadway, you're probably going too fast. If you start to lose control of your vehicle, get your foot off the brake, steer the vehicle in the direction that you want to go. Take note of the weather conditions outside. What is the weather like? Okay, was there a lot of moisture overnight? Did it freeze? What kind of a roadway are you on? Is there minimal traffic? There hasn't been any kind of traffic. Like you get out on the interstate at 5 o'clock in the morning and you're heading to work. There's been very little traffic overnight. You come around a corner and there's an overpass on that corner. It's going to have ice on it. I can guarantee you that from my years of experience. You get on the bridge, there's going to be ice on it. So basically you come across the bridge, you hit the bridge, you take your foot off the throttle, let it coast across the bridge, get to the other side, and then put your foot back on the throttle and away you go again. And that's probably going to keep you safe as you're going across the bridge. That will definitely have ice on it. Okay, skid control, know that it's slippery. If you start to lose control, take your foot off the throttle, get the vehicle under control, and then throttle up again. Okay, as I said in the video about braking on ice, you can if you're driving an automatic, push the selector into neutral, brake to the corner, and then just slip it back into drive, and away you go again. Okay, that's going to cut the residual power from the engine to the drivetrain and give you more control with the brakes. I know that there are many people who come back to me and say, oh, I gear down and I use engine braking. First question I always ask with that is, why would you use a $25,000 drivetrain to save $1,000 brakes? Brakes are reliable. The gearing down using the drivetrain, that's left over from the 40s and 50s when brakes were unreliable. We don't need to do that anymore. Just use your brakes. And in the unfortunate event that you may potentially crash, try and get the vehicle slowed as much as possible. Try to aim for a snowbank, shrub, a fence, something like that. Try not to aim for rocks or trees or overpasses, bridge abutments, and those types of things, because you're going to do a lot of damage. So keep yourself safe in the winter time. And if you're driving up and down the ski hill, you're going into the backcountry, those types of things, make sure you have winter survival kits in your vehicle just in case you get stranded and whatnot in the winter time. And we can answer more questions. We can talk about that here in the remainder of the hour. Corey, pro winter driving argument, all tires wear down. If you get a set of winter tires, you would have 2 sets of tires, reducing the wear in each set, so it's not really much more expensive long term. And Corey's right about that, about the fact that you have 2 sets of tires, so you're not wearing down one set of tires as much. You still have the same amount of life, is what Corey is saying, because you're using your winter tires 30% of the year. So the only piece about that is hopefully you can stagger the 2 sets so you're not buying 2 sets of tires at the same time. Unfortunately, in my case, I do have a set of winter tires and a set of all-season tires for the buggy. They're both going to need to be replaced next year. So that's going to hurt a little bit when I'm going to have to buy all-season tires and I'm going to have to buy winter tires for the buggy in the same year. But the argument that Corey has made is, yes, they're going to wear down. Now, in keeping with what Corey was saying about winter tires, if you don't get the winter tires off your vehicle when the weather starts to get nice, you're going to wear them out very quickly, because the rubber compound on winter tires is soft. And in the summertime, it heats up and it wears out very quickly. So say, for example, an all-season tire, just for illustration purposes, all-season tires will last you 5 years. If you run the same winter tires in the same conditions, hot in the summertime, they'll only last 18 months, 2 years before they completely wear out. So know that. If it's not cold, don't put the winter tires on the vehicle. And me personally, I know that many people here where I live get their winter tires on late September, early October. I don't put my winter tires on until December, until it actually snows, because I try to make them last as long as possible, because I know that the rubber compound is very soft, and in good conditions, it just really wears them out. It's the same thing. I can hear people running around town with their steel-studded tires on. You're just doing a lot of damage to your steel-studded tires and wearing them out prematurely when you're driving around on bare pavement. It's really hard on them. Sam, did you see that video on Inside Edition YouTube channel with the driver jumping out of her car after hitting patches of ice on the highway? No, I didn't see that, Sam. You'll have to send that to me because that's pretty crazy. She thought she was going to crash and die, so she jumped out of her vehicle. That doesn't seem responsible to me. Eric, tires are well worth the cost to switch back and forth summer to winter. Yes, it is. Tim, hello, my friend. Tires age out too. Typically, it is suggested that 10 years is the max. Yes. And the video that I did with Gary some years ago, he was saying that, yes, most of these tires expire about 8 years, that they get old and you can't use them anymore. And it's definitely a liability issue. And he showed me some tires where the sidewall has just blown out on them because, as you said, 10 years is about the max on a set of tires on your vehicle. So you definitely want to keep yourself safe and be replacing your tires as well. Eric says, not all snowbanks are soft to go into. No, they're not. And some years ago, I was shooting a video. I went down, I did the video, and it was wintertime. And I took the dash cam out of the car, and I was driving home, and I was coming up the back alley, and there was a recycling truck along the roadway that was doing the pickups for the recycling. And I'm not sure what had happened, but we had a big dump of snow, and then it had melted, and then it had frozen, it had melted and frozen, and the snowbanks were complete ice. And the recycling truck comes up the other side of the roadway on a 2-lane suburban roadway, and for whatever reason drives into the snowbank. But as Eric just said, not all snowbanks are soft. Excuse me. And drove into the snowbank, but the snowbank was solid ice, and the front end of the recycling truck went up like 5 feet in the air and then just like slammed back down on the roadway. And of course, I'm laughing, and I look up, and of course the dash cam's not in the car. I didn't catch it on video, but it was just crazy how like just hit this just mound of ice, and the front of the 5-ton truck just went up and just slammed on the roadway. So exactly what Eric said. Not all snowbanks are soft. Exactly. Gold, how about a downhill bridge or a downhill road? How do you do that? Same thing, Gold. Get slowed down before the bridge, before the overpass. If you are pretty confident there's going to be ice on that, then get your foot off the brake, get your foot off the throttle. Just coast over the bridge. When you get to the other side, then resume with the acceleration, and you should be okay as well, okay? As I said, you're going to get into trouble when you lock up the tires, when the tires are not turning anymore. That's when you lose traction, all right? Now, you can lose traction when they're still turning, but oftentimes it's because you're traveling too fast. If you get slowed down before the bridge and then you just coast over the bridge and then you resume with the throttle, generally you're going to be okay. Adventura, very good class. Congratulations on the work. Thank you, my friend. Excellent. Okay. Carrie, I've heard it should be 45 degrees or below to use winter tires effectively. Yes, Carrie, that's a temperature that they use, 45 degrees. Here in Canada, we use 7 degrees Celsius. They say anything below that, you should have winter tires on. Personally, like I said, I like it to be colder than that before I put winter tires on my vehicle because, as I said, the rubber compound is so soft that they wear out prematurely. And, you know, they're using those temperatures because you could get snow at any time, right? For most people, they have to take their vehicle into a shop to get their tires switched out and those types of things. And in that case, then yes, go and use that rule, that general rule to switch the tires over on your vehicle. Now, for me personally, I switch my own tires out. I have a garage and the equipment in there. And as soon as it snows, I just pull the car in the garage and I just swap the tires out. It's not a big deal for me. So, but if you have to take it to a shop, then yes, definitely. Once the temperature drops to 7 degrees Celsius and below, or 45 degrees Fahrenheit and below, then yes, go into the shop, get your winter tires put on your vehicle, and then you're good to go for the winter. Hayden, I just got my learner's permit a few days ago. That is awesome, my friend Hayden. Congratulations on getting your learner's permit. And do you have a driver's test booked yet, Hayden, to get on with that? Awesome. So yes, definitely winter tires. As I said, if you're driving around the city, the urban areas, and you're not going out into the country, you're not driving up to the ski hill and those types of things, all season tires, all weather tires that have the mountain snowflake symbol on them, or they have M and S on them. M and S is mud and snow. Then you're going to be okay. Now, as I said, Corey put up the video for us on winter survival kit. If you're driving in the backcountry, you're driving up to the ski hill and those types of things, be sure that you put a winter survival kit in your vehicle in case that you get stuck into a snowbank or get stranded or something like that, and you end up spending a amount of time in your vehicle. Now, winter survival kits, make sure you have a phone charging cable in your vehicle because you need to be able to call for help. And if your phone's not charged, you're not going to be able to call for help. All right. Prescription medication. Make sure that you have prescription medication with you in your vehicle for a couple, 3 days. Prescription glasses, those types of things. Warm clothing, candles, pots to melt snow, hard candies, granola bars, those types of things, and all the other things that go into a winter survival kit, and that will keep you safe. Corey, +7 Celsius does seem a bit high. Yes, I usually felt that it was a bit high, but this is what the authorities and experts are recommending in terms of winter tires. Now, in keeping with that, as I said, the tire shops get really busy swapping over tires October, November. So this is the other reason you want to make sure that you do in fact get the winter tires on your vehicle before the bad weather hits, right? Eric, the band tire brand names you recommend for anyone that doesn't have them. Any one of the good, Michelin's, Firestone, Bridgestone, those Toyos, those are all good tires. Anybody else, smart drivers here watching on the live stream or watching the replay, your recommended brand of tires. Me personally, as you know, I love Michelin tires. I have winter Michelin tires on my vehicle. They don't make the all seasons for it anymore, but I do recommend Michelin tires. I personally really like them. Tim says M&S simply defines tread characteristics. It doesn't have much to do with winter traction. Okay, but mud and snow, but it's better than tires that don't have a rating for mud and snow or the winter snowflake symbol on them. And on that note of what Tim just said about traction and tread, the tread on the tires, you want what's called siping. You want a lot of area between the treads that's going to flex. The rubber is going to be able to flex, and it's going to be able to evacuate the snow from between the treads. Because if the tread on the tire gets packed with snow, as Tim was just saying, then you basically end up with a slick, and it's not going to create traction when you're driving on the roadway. It's just, think of it like hiking boots versus running shoes, right? A running shoe is basically a flat rubber surface on the bottom of your foot. And I know this because my son insists on wearing his running shoes to the dog park in the winter time, and I wear hiking boots. Well, hiking boots have a lot of space between the tread on the bottom of the thing, and you get some traction when you're walking. He's wearing his running shoes, which is basically a smooth rubber surface, and he's not getting any traction. It's the same thing with tires when you're driving in the wintertime. You want tires that will actually evacuate the snow from them so that you can get that snow up into the tire, and it actually grabs and grips onto the snow and ice. And the best thing in the wintertime, if you're driving on a hard pack, you're driving up to the ski hill and those types of things, studded tires, okay? But make sure that you look, because some areas will not allow steel studded tires. I'm pretty sure that in Ontario, for example, they will not allow steel studded tires. And here in British Columbia, you have to put them on in October, and they have to be off. I think it's the 31st of March that you have to have the steel studded tires off your vehicle, okay? So know that there are limitations to steel studded tires if that's what you're thinking you might put on the on your vehicle. Tim's sipes are the cuts in the tread blocks, not the big gaps in between. Okay, excellent. MD Cooper winter tires is the real deal. Daniel in Minnesota. Okay, so Cooper winter tires is another brand that you could potentially look at. Goodyear Bridgestone. Okay, so a few people have the different types of tires that they prefer. Any winter tire, as specifically designed winter tire, is definitely going to be better than an all-season tire, even one that's rated M&S or with the mountain snowflake symbol on it, okay? Eric, thanks for all your wisdom. Totally invaluable. Wishing you a super week and see you next time. Thank you, Eric, so much. All the best. BC Studs, October 1st to April 30th. Okay, I thought it was either April or March. Thanks for clarifying that information for me, Tim. So that's when you can have studs in the province of British Columbia. And so, as I said, if you're in Minnesota or you're in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Alberta, those types of places, make sure you look up to see whether you can actually put steel-studded tires on your vehicle. Winter driving, keep yourself safe. If you lose control of your vehicle starts to go out of control, get your foot off the brake. The brake is not your friend when you begin to lose control of your vehicle. Ice, bridges and overpasses, freeze first. If a lot of moisture in the air overnight and the temperature drops down to freezing, the next morning know that there's going to be ice on the roadways. Roadways that are minimal traffic overnight, bridges and overpasses are going to freeze first. Those are where you're going to get ice on the roadways. Main roads, salted and sanded, you're going to be just fine. But look out for those places that potentially ice could form on the roadways. Winter tires on your vehicle are better, but not everybody has them. And this is the reason that you need to increase your following distance, because the person may not have cleaned off their vehicle. They may not have winter tires on their vehicle, or they may not be confident with their winter driving skills. So have a look at that video I put up today. Have a look at top 14 tips for winter driving. Those two videos will give you more information about winter driving, keep you safe. And if you have any questions, leave a comment down in the comment section there, and that will definitely help you out. Click over here for another video, and that will definitely answer your questions and give you more information about winter driving. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great night. Bye now.